ಕಂಪನಿಗಳು ಹೊರದೇಶಗಳಿಂದ ಬಂದು ದಾಳಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಕೊಚ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂತಹದ್ದು. ಇವತ್ತೇನು ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಗೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂತದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಕಾನೂನುಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು, ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಹುದ್ದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ದಿಕ್ಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ರಾಜಕಾರಣವನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಿರುವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಕೂಡ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿಯವರು ಭಾರತ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ
ನಾವರನ್ನ ಕಡೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಸಮ್ಮೇಳನಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇನಾ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಮ್ಮೇಳನಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂದೆನೆ ನಮಗೆ ಡಿ ಟಿ ದೇವೇಗೌಡರು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ನಡೆಸ್ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಕೈಲ ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಡಿ ಟಿ ದೇವೇಗೌಡರು
ರಾಜಕಾರಣ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಯಾವ ದಿಕ್ಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವರ ಮಾತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 60-80% ಪುರುಷ ಪ್ರಧಾನ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು 20% ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನನಗನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, ನಾನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮಹಿಳಾ ರಾಜಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ಕಾಲ ಕೂಡಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಇನ್ನೇನು ಕೆಲವೇ ನಿಮಿಷ, ಕೆಲವೇ ಗಂಟೆ, ಕೆಲವೇ ದಿನಗಳು, ಕೆಲವೇ ತಿಂಗಳು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲವೇ ವರ್ಷಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಹಿಳಾ ರಾಜಕಾರಣ ಆಯಾಮವನ್ನ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಆಶಾಭಾವನೆಯಿಂದ ನಾನು ಕೂಡ ಕಾಯ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರತಿಪಾದನೆಯನ್ನ ಈಗ ಬಸವಣ್ಣನವರಾಯಿತು, ಅಂಬೇಡ್ಕರ್ ಅವರ ಕಾಲಘಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅಂಬೇಡ್ಕರ್ ಅವರ ಕಾಲಘಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಜದ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮಹಿಳೆಯರಿಗೆ ಸಮಾನತೆ ಅವಕಾಶವನ್ನ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿರೋಂಗೆನೆ ಅಂಬೇಡ್ಕರ್ ಅವರು ಮಹಿಳಾ ಸಮಾನತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಜೆಂಡರ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿಪಾದಿಸಿದಂತಹ ಬಹಳ ಕ್ರಾಂತಿಕಾರಕ ಒಂದು ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಯನ್ನ ಅವ್ರು ಇಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಓಟಿನ ಹಕ್ಕೇ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರಿಗೆ. ಓಟ್ ಹಾಕೋದೇನು ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನು ಗೊತ್ತು, ಅವ್ರು ಯಾರು ಓಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇತ್ತು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದ ನಂತರ 1950ರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಓಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಹಕ್ಕನ್ನ ಅಂಬೇಡ್ಕರ್ ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವಾಗ ಒಂದು ರೀತಿ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಇವರ ಒಂದು ವಿವೇಚನೆಗೆ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಿರ್ಧಾರಕ್ಕೂ ಒಂದು ಬೆಲೆ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿನ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದರಿಂದ 10 ಜನ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು 4.5%, ಬರೀ 24 ಜನ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, 10%. ಇದು ಆಶಾದಾಯಕ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆ. ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟೇರು ಶಾಸಕ ಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಿರ್ಣಾಯಕವಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಏನು ನಾವು ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ್ದು ಅಥವಾ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ನಾವು ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು 50%, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅರ್ಧದಷ್ಟು ಇದೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು ಯಾವ ಸ್ಥಳದಲ್ಲಿ, ವಿಧಾನಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಸಂಸತ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅರ್ಧದಷ್ಟು ಇದೀವ.
ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾದ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವರನ್ನ ಕಾಯುವುದು ಅಷ್ಟು ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಆ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಸದ್ಯ ನಿರ್ವಹಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಊಟ ಮಾಡುವ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ತಾವು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಕ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಘಟನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾತ್ರ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಅದು 2.5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಆಗ್ಬೋದಷ್ಟೇ. ಒಂದು, 47ರ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ತಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುವಂತೆ ಕೋಪು ಗಲಭೆ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ.
ಖ್ಯಾತ ಪತ್ರಕರ್ತರು. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಕೆ.ಸಿ. ಬಸವರಾಜ್ ಸರ್. ನೌ ಐ ಆಮ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಶ್ರೀ ಪಿ. Sainath sir to this program. Now I am requesting Professor Bharat sir to introduce Professor P. Sainath to this program.
And all the personalities on the dais, keeping in view time limitation, I will not speak at a great length. Sir, Dr.B. Sainath sir he is popularly called as the rural journalism of India. Indeed, awards. Among Raman Magsaysay Award is one important, and another one is first Indian, and the first is first Indian reporter to win European Commission Award, and very love a good draft ಅಂತ ಒಂದು, ಮತ್ತೊಂದು the last heroes, foot soldiers of Indian freedom ಅಂತ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು. Now I request sir to deliver talk on your subject matter, sir. Thank you, sir.
Key person of this chair. Yes.
It is already too late, so I don't want to waste my time. So I call upon a scholar, a well-known journalist, to speak on distress in agriculture. It's Mr. Sainath.
Honored to be here and to a gathering of political science lecturers and teachers in a time when in India, as a society and particularly as media, we have succeeded in completely debasing the meaning of the word politics and the meaning of the word political. I mean, when the frame that we live in contributed large, very significantly by media, and including WhatsApp University. Canvas means because you have a larger canvas of varying perspectives from person to person. But what we are looking at societally and in our public discourse is not, for example, the Ambedkarite sense of politics as a tool for social emancipation, where social precedes, where social and economic precede political. We are not even talking about the Gandhian sense of what is politics, which is politics as service, not power, and a tool for moral and social progress. We are not talking about even, say, the Gramscian sense of politics as a continuous dynamic struggle for power, nor even the Aristotelian or Platonist sense of politics as a master science. Politics is the BJP spokesperson and the Congress spokesperson abusing each other. That's politics. Occasionally, for comic relief, you might have the SP spokesperson also. But, I mean, one, it not only reduces politics, which is a rich oxygen of democracy, it not only reduces politics to partisan politics, it reduces it to individuals and parties within partisan politics. So I'm trying to look at something different when you requested me, and I'm to look at the politics of the agrarian crisis. So I'm going to try and do that. But first, two recent developments in the last 6 months, you might say, since September, which is affecting the Indian farmer very seriously. The first came with the Trump tariffs. And it is appalling to me how little is known about the impact on the ground. It is appalling how little this has come into public discourse. Do you know when Mr. Trump announced a particular scale of tariffs, which comes under textiles, garments, and apparel. Now in India, textiles and garments, that means 90-80% is cotton. Nobody is importing synthetic fabrics from India. They want the beautiful stuff we make with cotton. For once in years in Maharashtra's Vidarbha region, we had actually fought and got a decent MSP, minimum support price was achieved of 8,125 rupees per quintal, never before seen. Okay. What happens? The tariffs are declared 50%. Even before they are implemented, what does our government do? It makes noises about how it is, Mr. Modi is a very good friend of Donald, whom he often calls Donald. But he's a very good friend of Donald, and he can, and we are standing up to the pressure. How many of you have read in your newspaper or channel that 1 week after the imposition of the tariffs, the government of India withdrew the pathetic 11% duty on cotton? Yes. You withdrew the duty. Yeah? They are putting tariffs, you are withdrawing them. They withdrew 11% itself is a pathetic duty. It used to be 0% when the mighty Sharad Pawar was agriculture minister. Obviously, when he was agriculture minister, duties on sugar were 90%, but duties on cotton were 0. Because he represented sugar farmers and very large, powerful ones. So you had the withdrawal of this. What happened? At this time, the Samyukta Kisan Morcha, the organization that conducted the great struggle in Delhi, was touring with Darbar, and they requested me to join them because I've been covering it for 30 years. So we went there. All I did, when there were, each meeting there were 3,000, 4,000 farmers, not because of me, but because SKM leadership was there. And I just asked the farmers, how many of you have got that 8,125 rupees? 4,000 people, not one hand went up. Then I said, how many of you got 7,500 rupees? Not one hand went up. How many of you, I kept lowering every 500. When I came to 6,500, some hands went up, which means that people were selling their cotton or contracting to sell their cotton at below the cost of production. At below the cost of production. Imagine the misery of that. Then, the other thing was that the garments industry was badly hit. Under apparel, and that Tamil Nadu was horribly affected because leather came under a 50% tax under apparel. What happens when that happens, by the way? Hundreds of tannery small units in Tamil Nadu shut down. Anyone who knows anything about leather knows this, that those tanneries, small units, leather, those small units, 90% it is a Dalit-led industry. Like Kolhapur in Maharashtra, the Kolhapur chappals, the famous chappals. All this is work done by and small units owned by Dalits. They went for a 6. Even in Agra, they did. How much of this have you read about? Mangalore in Karnataka and other parts of the coast were badly hit by the tariffs on seafood exports. Okay? Now India is a country where shrimp, we do both. We do shrimp fishing and we do shrimp farming. Okay? Now my home state of Andhra Pradesh, 85% of its seafood export is to the United States. Okay? So they took a beating. You had a couple of suicides among shrimp farmers. While all this is going on, what is the tariff discussion? What is the political discussion on tariffs in the media? It is about what matters to the elites. H-1B visas. So you are actually using your farmers and farm laborers as a bargaining chip. How much you go, just look, you'll remember, I don't have to tell you, how much anguish there was about H-1B visas. You know whom that affects? It affects people like us, by the way. Yeah? Our children, our grandchildren, that sort of a thing. So that entire selfishness, the narcissistic selfishness of what I call the most narcissistic elite in the world, was a sheer display over there. Then now, I mean, whether it was leather, whether it was cotton, your farmers understand geopolitics fairly well. Another question I asked them from the platform. I did this, by the way, in Tanjavur also, in the rice belt, in the delta area. I was asking farmers what they thought. I said, Trump put out, we'll look at how China reacted. Trump put these 145% tariffs on China. China told him, go and sell your stuff somewhere else. We're cancelling all our orders. The biggest export of USA to China, and we're talking geopolitics here now, the biggest export of USA to China is soybean. $13 to $16 billion each year they export to China. China told them what they could do with their soybean. They told them, you take it and okay. Now, I asked the farmer, I told them this is what has happened. See, in a state like Maharashtra, for instance, soybean and cotton farmers are the same people. When they have a bad loss of cotton that season, they will shift to soybean. When they stabilize for 1 or 2 seasons, they will again give their acreage to cotton because there is more money in cotton. So I asked them, I kept asking, and they were all raising hands, not raising hands, few people raising hands on the MSP. Then I asked, this is what is happening between Trump and China. Now, the United States has $16 billion worth of soybean that it is not able to sell. Where do you think he's going to dump it? 1,000 hands went up like this. Hamare sir ke upar. Yeah. I'm saying what the analysts of media, television, think tanks could not get, that farmer in Akola, Amravati could understand. Yeah? And is seriously concerned about it, otherwise they would not have come in such large numbers to the meetings. Meetings called at very short notice. So you had that one. Now you had the so the soybean farmer is taking a hell of a beating. The cotton farmer is in collapse over that. And now you have the war of the US-Israel war on Iran, which is in the People's Archive of Rural India, which is the website I run. It publishes in 15 languages, including Kannada. Nanga Kannada gottilla, but common words with Telugu I can figure out. That's about my limit. But we have done a number of stories. On Monday, the 4th story will come. How it is affecting farmers and poor people in rural India. In Punjab, the Punjabi farmer was approaching Baisakhi, okay, April 13th. And so they had already sown on March. When Feb 28th the thing broke. So early March and mid-March, there were tractors, reapers lined up at the petrol pumps to buy diesel, as they told us while it's still there. Abhi khareed lehi. While the diesel is still there, we will buy. Here's the sad part. They had already invested in their input costs, everything else. So they went with big drums, 200-liter drums to buy diesel on that scale. How do you buy diesel on that scale? You take loans from the money lender. They took loans at 18% interest. All the people in the bloody queue. Loans at 18%. Banks are not going to give farmers loans anyway. Yes, they took loans at 18% interest to buy diesel. And if the crop fails because there was unseasonal rain, they're doubly in debt. Okay. Now in Uttar Pradesh, on Monday you will see a story. Uttar Pradesh, the midday meal is in serious jeopardy. Very serious jeopardy. Why? We have a lovely, horrible to say lovely, but very well done story on it coming on Monday. UP, there are 19 million children who go to primary, upper primary schools. Now all the 150,000 schools have got LPG connections, but no LPG, because they don't come under priority. These are poor children, so the priorities are going elsewhere. You got LPG connection, but you got no gas. Then you try cooking, you switch to firewood. In Kerala, all the eateries, the public eateries, Kudumbashri hotels, have all shifted to firewood, which is having its impact on the forest in Idukki and the Thiruvananthapuram hill area, all of this. In UP, immediately people made money out of firewood sales. So all the firewood dealers they sold their firewood, they went and collected huge amounts and they sold it to commercial establishments, hotels, restaurants, these places, they sold it to. So every day, your school teachers in UP, in those areas, are going out hunting for firewood. The school teacher and the 3 cooks, Rasoya, the cooks, are going out hunting for firewood. Yeah. Because, and then one of the teachers told us very sweetly, we have to do it because it is for the children, but we are also dependent on these meals. We also eat these meals. Those cooks, the Rasoya, there is one cook for that is the. So the school we have 103 children, there were 3 cooks, and the teachers, they're all people from poor background who also eat that meal. And what our correspondent saw, it's a large, that particular block on the border of Lucknow, mall block. What I saw in early 90s in Tamil Nadu, people were staying there, and which still happens, many of the children, instead of eating out of the plate provided by the school, they put the food in their tiffin box, plastic tiffin box, eat from there, because they're going to take some home to their hungry parents and grandparents. Yeah? Well, the farmers, apart from diesel, are now taking a double hit on fertilizer. Yeah? 54% of fertilizer comes through the Strait of Hormuz. And all I'm asking you is, this is politics, this is geopolitics, where is the political debate, where is the political discussion on this? It speaks volumes of where we stand as a society today, and as I said, the debasement and degradation of the meaning of politics, which has such a rich meaning in a dozen different perspectives. It has a rich and positive meaning. But what we are looking at is the partition debate. Now, all this is coming on top of an agrarian crisis, which I'll come to in a moment. But I want to tell you that my colleagues and I have found that we need to define in discussion who is a farmer. Yeah? Because the census definition of farmer is a decent definition. One of the important things about the census, it does not discriminate on a gender basis. All women who work in the field are farmers, who work more than 180 days in the supervision or cultivation are farmers. But in society we don't accept that. Yeah? The woman is not a farmer, she is farmer's wife or farmer's daughter. Those are our deep-rooted social prejudices. So, Dalits and Adivasis. Adivasis you don't accept as farmers, they are all encroachers in the forest. Yeah, they've been encroaching for 2000 years. Long before your state of India was formed. Yeah, but they are encroachers, they should be thrown out, followed. Dalits, operating on the poorest quality land, very often Vanjar Bhumi, very often redistributed land, and many parts of the country, land that was redistributed to Dalits near Hyderabad is being taken back for grand projects, yeah? For IT projects or other things. The land is like near Shamshabad Airport, for instance, will be taken back. Dalits, the village policeman, the authority, they cannot accept that this person is a farmer. So they are very much farmers and contribute very much to the farming process of this country. Or especially remember this, because I'm telling you that there are 10 groups of 10 people we should understand are farmers. And the census definition does not do away with that. It is okay. It allows us to make these. First is the landed farmer. In the eyes of authorities, this is the only farmer. Tenant farmers, nobody exists. They don't get loans from, tenant farmers don't get loans from banks. They don't have a patta. Right? Then first group is landed farmer. In the eyes of authority, you say when there's a farmer's suicide, I have been in 900 plus households where a farmer has taken her life or his life. First thing will happen is that night Tahsildar, if the situation is politically hot, otherwise just some constable will come and he'll ask the widow or someone, Patta dikao. In Maharashtra we say Sakbara dikao, that is the title deed. Now, if you don't have a title deed, that suicide will not be registered as farmer's suicide. As a result, suicides by women farmers, Dalit farmers, Adivasi farmers are highly underestimated and highly understated. Where does the Adivasi have a patta? It's his forest. Where does he have that patta? Okay. Where does the Dalit have a patta? Dalit, it doesn't matter. Even if he has a patta, they will not, compensate. Then, tenant farmers also don't get into this. You know why? Tenant farmer, I have watched people bully the tenant farmer's wife. I've got involved in shouting matches because they can't produce a patta. And by the way, the tenant farmer is the fastest growing section of the farming community for more than 20 years now. So, how do I look at who is a farmer? Landed farmer, landless farmer. I maintain what we call agricultural laborers. They are landless farmers. What farming can you do in this country without agricultural laborers? Most of whom are Dalits, by the way. What farming will you do in this country if agricultural laborers don't report for work tomorrow? The biggest problem in the countryside is trying to get labor for your farm. And they know what they're doing, they know how to do it. They are called, I call them, landless farmers. Third is that the tenant farmer. Fourth is the Mahila farmer, the woman farmer. And this is one of my most sad experiences, how difficult it is to get people to accept women as a farmer. And it is so stupid. 65% of all work, labor done in agriculture in this country comes from 65%, but we don't accept them as farmers. So your suicide numbers will show lower than what the truth is. Then, so that is 4 groups. 5th, Dalit farmer I have mentioned. Adivasi farmer, 6 I have mentioned. Dairy farmers who are going to be wiped out by your tariffs and by the free trade agreement with the European Union, and we have signed one with New Zealand also. What happens to your dairy farmers? Do you know, in the rich districts of Kolhapur, as late as 2020, farmers were fighting for higher price per litre. Guess how much they were getting? 16 rupees per litre, the actual producer, when distillery is costing 20 rupees a bottle. Now, with the flooding of milk, what happens to them? So, number 7 in the group is dairy farmers. Then one group of farmers that none of us thinks about. By the way, Karnataka contributes a large number of this group. Pastoralists and nomadic pastoralists, the Kurubas, who migrate through Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and back. The Kurubas, large sections of Kurubas are nomadic pastoralists or semi-nomadic pastoralists. You know, Mongolia has the largest percentage of population who are pastoralists, but no country has more groups of nomadic pastoralists than India does. The Rabaris in Gujarat and Rajasthan, the Pakirani Jats, the camel breeders of the Kutch Saurashtra region. These are people who cover 1,000 to 2,000 miles every year, and pastoralism actually does a lot of good for the environment. You don't keep focusing on the same plot of land all the time year round, like jute cultivation in the northeast. It actually helps the health of the land. Number 9, and there are 2 groups which come under agriculture officially in the census of India, but none of us thinks about them much as being related to agriculture. Fisherfolk, fishing communities. You know, at least romantically, please imagine the fisherman as the farmer of the seas. But yes, the census of India classifies agriculture and allied occupations, fisheries and forestry. Those Adivasis who are collecting honey. Here, 2 hours from Bangalore, you have the BR Hills, where the Soligas collect honey on very, very dangerous heights. We are dealing with a case of one young fellow who broke his spine on falling. Now, these are farmers, please. Even by law, by recognition of census, these are farmers. Why don't we give them that dignity of status? So these are your major farmers, groups of farmers. Now the crisis itself. I want to say, let me sum up your agrarian crisis in 5 words. Corporate hijack of Indian agriculture. That is the number. That is your crisis. Yeah? corporate hijack of Indian agriculture. They have captured everything: seed production, fertilizer, in some states, electricity and water distribution also privatized. Large corporations are doing this. Now, the crisis in 5 words: corporate hijack of agriculture. The process by which that crisis is unleashed predate 5 words: predatory commercialization of the countryside. Predatory commercialization of the countryside. The outcome of this, in 5 words, the biggest human displacement in history. Biggest displacement in our history, 5 words. You know, during COVID, when people started walking back from the cities to the villages, it was for the first time you recognized how many people from villages had come to the cities. And everyone, you know, there were editorials, bleeding heart editorials asking, why are they going back? Man, they made a very rational decision. They knew that they couldn't depend on people like us and our buses. They understood that very well. One of the drivers who was going back to Bihar told me, I asked him, Arey, why are you going back? Your Malik is a big man. You have a better... He said, in 24 years I have worked for this Malik. He has never asked me about my family, whether I have children, how many children I have, what they are doing. He said, you think he is going to come and wheel me to hospital? No. This is our selfishness and narcissistic nature of the society we are today. So they started going back. So the question was, why are they going back? I repeatedly wrote, that is the wrong question. Why are they going back to the villages? The wrong question. The correct question is, why did they leave the village to come here in the first place? And that you can answer in 2 words: agrarian crisis. Millions of them. Now, let me give you the numbers of what happened. In every census of India from 1951, number of farmers increased. 1961 increased, 71 increased, 81 increased, 91 increased. Yeah, okay, partly because of fragmentation of landholdings. All right, but it still increased. From 91, we entered the neoliberal period of Indian economy. And the politics of your agrarian crisis is the politics of neoliberalism and neoliberal economics. Yeah. So what happened? Till 91, including farmer population is growing. 91 to 2001 census, farmer population falls by full-time farmers. Full-time farmers are those who are involved in cultivation, supervision, 180 days or more. Because we use that data uses that definition because otherwise every corporate farmer going to attend to his dairy farm, hobby farm, his graveyards, vineyards in Nashik becomes a farmer. When you have to show that your primary income comes from cultivation. So when you do that, between 91 and 2001 census, number of farmers, full-time farmers, plummeted by 7.2 million. 2001 to 2011 census, it sank further out of sight. It declined by 7.7 million. That means in 20 years, your farmer population collapsed by 15 million. If you take that on a 24-hour daily average, you are losing 2,000 full-time farmers every day. Where are they going? They go to become my driver in Mumbai, your tailor in Bangalore, whatever they can do. That's what they become. And we make the definition of farmers so difficult. That's big. But I want to tell you this. The biggest class struggle in the world today, anywhere in the world, is family farm versus corporate farm. This is the central struggle of the global scene. It's not just India. India lost 15 million, by the way, in that battle between corporate farming and family farming. We all know who is winning, we all know who is losing. Right? We know that the family farm is losing. It's not just India. It is not only India where this is happening. You know, the European Union is losing 353,000 farms every year. Where are they going? They're getting bought up by consolidation, corporates, these other people who are taking it. But corporate farming doesn't mean direct ownership necessarily. Corporate farming control comes through control, monopoly over all the inputs, over seeds. All of you have heard of Monsanto, the giant seed manufacturer that was responsible for so much misery in the Indian farmer. However, how many of you know that Monsanto has been bought up by an even bigger company called Bayer? The giant Monsanto is now one department of Bayer. And guess what government of India did December 2024? We have given Bayer full unlimited access to the Central Indian Database on Agriculture, AgriStack. AgriStack is the Central Indian Database. And you are giving, now it allows Bayer to not only position its products better, it allows them to now reach into the Krishi Kendras. The agreement ICAR has signed, it allows these guys to reach the Krishi Kendras. The person who is selling you is also your expert. You know the other company they have given this access to? Amazon. And they've done it in the name of Amazon will teach Indian farmers better logistics, how to improve. So I think this corporate thing has been going on for a very long time. When the UPA government led by Congress was in power, they started the Million Farmer Scheme, and every corporate group, 30 were given to educate 50,000 farmers. You know, the Krishnagiri area, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, is home to giant numbers of ragi farmers. 40,000 Tamilian farmers were placed under the charge of ITC. So some moron from Wharton School of Business is going to teach the Tamil and Kannadiga farmer how to grow ragi better. And these guys have only been doing that for 3,000 years. What are you doing? Listen, the family farm has been the basis of every civilization for 3,000 years. That little farm is the basis of, you name the civilization. Go back to ancient Rome. When you were a mercenary, you fought for the Roman army. If you lived, which most of them did, if you lived and gained great status as a warrior, you know what? You were given two things. You were given citizenship of Rome, and you were given a small plot of land to grow your olives and other things just outside Rome, because you were a defense buffer for Rome. Okay, so all warriors, you know, they even if they are 60, they know how better to fight than someone who's 20 and never seen a battle. So, from that time, the family farm, Mesopotamia, the old Iraq, Sumerian civilization. Everything was dependent on the farm. The Mughal Empire was dependent on land revenue from the farming. 1/5 of the produce was the amount. Now, I'm saying that it is no longer an agrarian crisis. Around 2004-2005, your agrarian crisis became a societal crisis. You saw that in the election results of 2004. That everyone was feeling the pinch, everyone was angry, everyone. I am now arguing that what you are facing is a civilizational crisis. The farm populations are declining at such a rate. Your great-grandchildren or grandchildren maybe might live in a world without farmers. Do you want that world? I find it very scary. Do you want it? I give you the numbers. European Union, 353,000 farms collapsing every 12 months. You know who is the biggest farming nation in Europe? Romania. Yeah, because they are a third world representative in the first world. Romania is the biggest. 32% of all European farmers are Romanian.
Our number.
Yeah? And then comes Bulgaria, countries like that. That is the what's the other one? Yeah. Anyway, United States, in the 60s, 30% to 35% of all Americans were in some way connected to agriculture and land. Today, less than 1% of Americans call themselves farmers. The word farmer is not a separate category in the United States Census. It's not a separate category. You have to go to the menu saying others, and from the drop down you choose farmer. Okay? Farmers are virtually, because who has taken their place? Gigantic companies and corporations have taken their place. They will keep these. There are many little farms which are called incorporated. They are actually small family farms that do incorporation in order to get the subsidies, otherwise they won't get it. Right now, what are we doing in India? FPOs and FPCs, farmer producer companies. Do you know that you have the option? You have the option of forming as a society, forming as a cooperative, forming as a company, forming as whatever. But the government is inducing you to form as a company, saying, if you are a company, credit becomes easier because the government is controlling the credit. So credit becomes easier, so you form. Don't form as cooperative and all that. You form as a company, private company. What happens? A group of 20 women farmers come together, form a company, farmer producer company. Now they will take the local bania onto their company because they don't know how to run a corporate, a company. They have no experience of that. So they take the local businessman. What does he do? That local businessman, remember it's a company, it has shares, it has percentages, in 3 years, he will own that company. In 5 years, he will sell to a bigger company. So Birla Agro will be getting in a lot of small companies. So that's another thing that's going to happen.
So we should stop at that and you receive some questions.
Sure.
And we can interact.
Certainly. Okay.
I think that is the right course.
Sure.
So now,
Sir, wars and tariffs are not permanent conditions.
Sorry.
But wars and tariffs are not permanent conditions. But in India, farmers and agriculture is facing continuous crisis. So I just want you to address structural and permanent solutions
Okay.
for the crisis.
Okay. As you say, well, they are not permanent conditions. But the war on Indian farmers has been a condition for 30 years now. Yeah? It shows no signs of it. What are the structural conditions? Fundamental and biggest problem of India is inequality and growing inequality. When inequality grows, the poorest paid sectors of society suffer the most. Farming is the lowest wage paying thing. Give you an example. Now there is a second exodus of workers going back from Tamil Nadu to Bihar because they can't cook food anymore. LPG is not available. Firewood in a highly industrialized city like Chennai and Tambaram, where the hell do you get firewood? And the rent owner will not allow you to cook inside. Firewood inside an 8-foot by 6-foot room in which 8 people live. So they are, they're earning 1,050 rupees per day in Tambaram, Chennai. Yeah? They're going back to Nalanda to earn. They're all landless farmers. They're going back to Nalanda, Bihar to earn 250 rupees a day from 1,050. Now what happens when you make that shift? You're falling further in debt because you're not able to pay your debt, monthly debt installment to the sahukar or the bank. So it seems like it's a permanent crisis from British times. Remember that the British report on agriculture in 1870 said Indian peasant is born in debt, lives in debt, dies in debt. Look at India in 1991 did not have a single dollar billionaire. Today we have $220 billionaires whose net cumulative worth is more than $1 trillion, yeah? Which is 26% of your GDP. So if you can't fight inequality, you can't do a thing for the problem. And what can you do as a solution? I would suggest straight away that everybody make this demand. I've been making it for 10-15 years. Both houses of parliament, and every state legislature should hold a special session of parliament and legislature discussing exclusively agrarian crisis and related issues. That's where we should start.
Sir, you have spoken at length about the crisis in India, especially agricultural distress. After India entered into the agreement on agriculture under the WTO, ever since then, we have seen several farmers committed suicide in places like Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and other places. I have read Vandana Shiva's Seeds of Research, where she too has mentioned many reasons like that. After listening to your a brilliant speech with heart assailer, really it indicates that the crisis has become a civilizational crisis. Really, I endorse your point, and I remember my senior colleague by name Professor Muzaffar H. Sadi. He too has enlightened us about the agrarian crisis as we have done so. So, definitely, this crisis has to be arrested. Otherwise, the civilizational crisis will further aggravate and deprive our children and grandchildren from the food they are entitled to. What permanent remedies, as our student has already raised, that permanent remedies are indispensably necessary for us as and also as a humanist and as a legendary thinker. You have given us some important insights. I am really grateful to you as I am grateful to my Professor for HSI. Thank you, sir.
Attention to one thing which I skipped. Farmers in this country are responding, have been responding. The Kisan Andolan at the gates of Delhi, November 2020 to November 2021, was the largest peaceful, constitutional, democratically organized protest for justice in the world in 30 years. Okay? And they organized at the height of COVID. 720 farmers died in the camps, but they taught us the meaning of the word resistance. No solution can happen without that resistance, without struggle. In 2018, the present phase of farmers' protests began when 40,000 Adivasi farmers, barefoot, they don't own footwear, marched from Nashik to Mumbai 182 kilometers in 6 days. Yeah, look, the farmers at Delhi, you know, we all know about Occupy Wall Street as the large struggle in USA, which got the attention of the world. They lasted 9 weeks. Our farmers at the gates of Delhi lasted 54 weeks. With all the paramilitary and security forces attacking them, they did not withdraw, they made Modi withdraw. Yeah. So there is that solution. No solution is possible without struggle. No solution is lasting. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty.
2,000 farmers are staying in the profession on average. I have witnessed it. That as I noticed that the degree of agricultural land is getting conversion into some other, like agriculture, industrial purposes or regulation purposes. So in this regard, what are your suggestions to bring farmers back to the profession?
There are two types of land conversion. One is what you're talking about, land acquisition for projects, land acquisition for projects and stuff. Okay. But there was another kind of land conversion. They began in 1991 with the new economic policies, shifting from food crop to cash crop. Cash crop is far more paying, it is also far more volatile. Let me give you one example that affected Karnataka. In 2000, early 2002, everybody started growing vanilla. Mangalore. They started growing vanilla because the United States regular suppliers, Mexico, Brazil, they had frost, their crops failed. So they sent teams down here to persuade our farmers to grow vanilla. Vanilla has zero internal market in this country. When did you go out and buy vanilla? No. But they didn't tell our farmers that they are also doing this in 30 other poor countries. Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, everywhere they went, they persuaded lakhs, maybe millions of farmers to grow vanilla. I was so frightened when it happened. I was telling my friends in Kerala who are small farmers, be very careful, this will lead to your destruction. But they said, you are just an idiot, because we are getting 4,000 rupees per kilogram. 4,000 rupees per kilogram they were getting, which was $100 in 2002. 4,000 rupees per kilogram. Now, 2 seasons they got that price. 3rd season, Mexico, Brazil recovered, sent their vanilla, and millions of farmers were sending vanilla. You know what the price was in Kerala and Mangalore? 86 rupees, sir. And in Mangalore at one market it went to 68 rupees. From 4,000 to 68 is not fluctuation, it is annihilation. Yes. So you had, that is when you give up in WTO and other agreements, when you give up your right to defend and protect your farmer. And a lot of that attack that you speak of very correctly, I think I'm in total agreement with all your points. A lot of this is subsidy kyun dena? Why should we give subsidy? There is no country on this planet where agriculture exists without state support. Please, no country, show me one. The biggest givers of subsidies are United States and Europe. Yeah, which for every cow gave a subsidy of $3 up to 2006. $3 per cow for you to look after your cow. They gave you $3 per cow every. Our Vijay Javandia, an agrarian intellectual of Maharashtra, he was asked by a young reporter, "Sir, what is the dream?" By the way, their subsidies are in hundreds of billions. Our money is pathetic life support. It's not even a subsidy. One is to be born as a European cow. Eat them. This whole, the neoliberal globalization was introduced as the largest loot and grab sortie by advanced industrialized countries of the West against the people. Now when it's not working for him anymore, or he wants more than that, because countries like China were able to, outside it, do better. But this is the thing. So you're going to have to look at, and I said again, we need to start a discussion nationally on what is our farming, what sort of farming do we want to see 30 years from now. Do you know that Japan in 14 years will not have a single farmer? That's why Japan is at the cutting edge of drone agriculture, robotics, and Japan for the first time in its history has opened up immigration, taking Filipino laborers to do the agricultural work. So when all of them can act in their interest and in the interest of their corporations, why cannot you and I act in the interest of our farmers? Yes, please.
So as you rightly said, farmers movement started in 2018, like March towards Delhi. To some extent, it was classified by 2019, and the result was 303 seats. It got very, it got a huge boost in 2021, and the number of seats went down to 240. And majority of the seats that the BJP lost. Do you think, as I rightly said, farmers responded? Do farmers have that awareness to respond on a severe scale in a political sense?
First, I agree with the loss of seats, the seats coming down. I agree with all of that. But it's about, are the farmers aware enough to respond? They're the only ones who've been responding. You and I have not been responding. I'm part of two platforms. One is called Nation for Farmers. It is a platform of non-farmers, extending, it includes a lot of academics, a lot of teachers. Yeah? It came when 40,000 Adivasi farmers came to Mumbai, and we saw the idealistic turnout over there, because the farmers marched to the venue without disrupting the board exams of 2 lakh children in Bombay. The people came out, parents, teachers came out with food packets for them. I saw teachers, I saw bankers, I saw businessmen, I saw lawyers, all coming out for farmers. That day we formed Nation for Farmers. Secondly, there is also the Kisan Mazdoor Commission, which is a representative organization. It's a representative organization. The awareness is there, but is not enough in that awareness is not enough in the middle classes like ourselves. It's not enough. We get far more unity behind our farmers, who are after all a small percentage of the population. Full-time farmers are less than 95 million people. So if we can do that, that consciousness raising exercise has to come from teachers like you. Was shown to you when 2 lakh farmers refused to budge from Delhi, CRPF, PAC, Delhi police, Punjab police, Haryana police attacked them with water cannons. They did not budge. There is that.
The farmers number is decreasing.
After
1991, LPG, liberalization, globalization. At the same time, USSR collapsed, sir. Sorry? USSR. Sir, in India at present the capitalism is there. I ask that is this because of capitalist crisis, the agrarian problem, and I ask the solution is the socialism or any other way.
Okay. The first that is it part of a capitalist crisis? Obviously. As I said, the biggest class struggle in the world is corporate farming versus family farming. What is corporate farming? It is the pinnacle of capitalist farming. It's the pinnacle of capitalist agriculture. When farming is being run not as a livelihood but as a business, as a highly subsidized business by the state which makes policies in favor of corporations. So it's very much part of the capitalist crisis. Second, do you know that there are so many examples from within your own country of what you can do to make things better and run not on capitalist principles? Just look at your neighbor Kerala and look at Kudumbashree. Kudumbashree Kerala. 4.3 million women have formed this society called Kudumbashree. And they have formed 70,000 Krishis, Sangha Krishis, that is farming groups, collectives, farming collectives. The biggest farm, the smallest farm, they're all landless. They lease the land. The smallest farm is 1 acre. The biggest farm is 1 hectare. So there will be 4 women on the 1 acre and there will be up to 10 women on the 1 hectare. You know what the principle is? Anti-capitalist principle of Kudumbashree is not food sovereignty, not food control, food justice. That is, the producer shall never go hungry. So suppose a group of 10 women are running that 1 hectare. Do you know what the rule is? What the principle of justice is? You can sell your produce on the market after those 10 families have got the share they demand. After those 10 families have got the share they demand. So you have. Now Kudumbashree has been able to do what big farmers elsewhere in the country have not been able to do. Because of their unity, because of their strength, in many villages, Kudumbashree is the biggest depositor in the bank. So the bank cannot dare refuse credit to Kudumbashree because not just Kudumbashree agriculture, but all the other Kudumbashree groups will boycott that bank. They were able to do that unity, that ability to think outside the box, to think we don't need this capitalist principle of functioning. We will function the way we have to. Of Kudumbashree restaurants, Kudumbashree cafes across Kerala, and people could have lunch for a month in 200 rupees. What your women farmers have done is the story we have not told the world.
Indian mainstream media dealing the farmers' problems, how they portray this problem.
Okay, they don't deal. They deal with the problems of their overall corporate business.
Yes.
That's why I'm asking this question, sir. We all know.
Very simple example I'll give you. In the struggle in Delhi, every second slogan was anti-Ambani, anti-Adani. It didn't come in your media at all because Mr. Ambani is the biggest owner of media in India.
All mainstream media are below.
We have given thought-provoking lecture. Define ಮಾಡುವಲ್ಲೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಸೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಎಡವಿದೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ರಿಂದ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡಿ I am calling chairperson Professor Basaraj sir.
Not to speak.